14,000 years ago, the glacial ice shield that covered our land began to retreat. Meltwater from the ice filled huge basins gouged into the earth by the weight of the glaciers, creating the Great Lakes. Thousands of years before the first European arrived to our shores, the Great Lakes thrived with approximately 120 bands of First People, the Anishinaabe. These bands gathered together, making tribes. One theory concerning the name Indian, a European word, is thought to have arrived with Christopher Columbus, who believed he had found the West Indies and therefore Indians. Another theory suggests early Spanish priests called indigenous native population Indios, or children of God, and over the years the word Indian evolved. The first European explorers of the Great Lakes, Brulé, Champlain, La Salle, Father Marquette, and Joliet, found these first people to be primitive compared to European standards, but masters of their environment, the first true ecologists who understood the importance of taking care of and showing respect to all life, including the two-legged, four-legged, finned, and winged, the green ones, the wind, the water, the earth, the sun, moon, and stars. All life had its place and was to be respected in a way that the new European settler could hardly understand. Mackinac Island, by tradition, was prayed out of the water by shamans standing on the St. Ignace shore. The story tells us as they stood transfixed, staring into the great rising sun, the Geesis, they beheld an island slowly rising from the water, assuming its present form resembling the back of a huge turtle. The shaman, it is said, gave the island its name, Mackinac, the Great Turtle. For centuries, native people found safe refuge on the island as they traveled south and east from Canada and west from the plains. It is known from 1000 BC to 1650 AD that the woodland period Indians paddled to Mackinac every summer to fish for trout, pike, whitefish, and sturgeon. It was called by the Anishinaabe the home of the fishes. Another origin of the name Mackinac comes from the history of the people of the Turtle Clan that once occupied the island many hundreds of years before the Europeans came. The Turtle Clan was associated with the Ottawa of Manitoulin Islands in Georgian Bay. The story, by tradition, tells of the clan, fearing for their life, fled Georgian Bay and lived for many generations on the island until their enemy, the Iroquois of western New York, discovered them as they returned from a raiding party in what is now Wisconsin. The Iroquois killed the Turtle Clan, all except two that were said to have escaped and hid in an ancient burial cave until it was safe for them to make their way back to Manitoulin Island. Once there, they told of their experience in council with the Ottawa and Chippewa, where it was decided the sacred place of death would now be called Mackinac, the Turtle Clan, in memory of those who lost their lives there. By 1615, Etienne Brulé, a young scout of the explorer Champlain, traveled with the Indians of Georgian Bay from Quebec to as far north as Lake Superior. The expedition was first funded by Henry IV and then Louis XIII, both kings of France. Exploration of the land, now called Nouveau-Francois, or New France, stretched from the Canadian Atlantic region to the Rocky Mountains, from the Hudson Bay to the Gulf of Mexico, including all of what is now Michigan. French explorers, not finding gold to return for French investments, discovered a different type of treasure that would soon fill the coffers of Europe, that of fur. La Salle's ship, the Griffin, the first European-style ship to travel the Great Lakes in 1679, was said to be burdened from stem to stern with a layer of green fur pelts drying in the sun, preparing for European markets. Europe, for centuries, had exhausted their supply of fur-bearing animals, and fresh stock from New France fueled the European fashions for beaver felt hats, exotic furs, coats, and cloaks. North America's first treasure provided new sources of wealth to the European financial market because of their quality and quantity. And for the price of a few small trade items in New France, like beads, needles, axes, cooking pots, a gold mine of furs could be harvested. At first, the French in the Great Lakes who held the fur monopoly used Mackinac as a gathering place for trade with the local Native Americans. Cadillac, based in St. Ignace before the founding of Detroit, frequented the island, creating peaceful paths between the cultures. Soon, British expeditions pushed westward into the Great Lakes and into French trading territories. With them came vast amounts of guns, knives, alcohol, English blankets, and new trade items. Skirmishes between the French of the Northwest Company and the British of the Hudson Bay Company became frequent. French voyageurs, now free from work contracts, stayed marrying Indian women, creating family alliances with the Native Americans and often illegal fur trading posts. The lines between cultures became crossed. The French, Indian, and Métis worked and struggled together, creating a new lifestyle on Mackinac Island and in the Great Lakes. The British, staking out their own grounds throughout the Great Lakes and at the Straits, tried to maintain their European standards and laws in a wilderness whose only law was to respect the land. The fur trade led to North America's first international businesses and transformed traditional Native American cultures from a pastoral lifestyle into an industrial awareness, sparking bitter rivalries between the British, French, and what would become the New Americans. Mackinac, over time, transformed from an isolated island that once served as a safe harbor and fishing grounds to a central place of exchange for fur and French goods, to a fur station and shipping depot, a British fort, and eventually an American military installation. Today, with the help of the Mackinac Island State Park Commission and the state of Michigan, all these things are still here for us today, allowing those of us, descendants of the past, to visit, view, explore, and learn at Mackinac Island.